Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this in the world. I hope you guys are doing okay. Now, I don't know how much I've actually voiced this to people, but I am very excited for Bleach Rebirth of Souls. We haven't had a major Bleach game since I think the PS3 age. It might even be further back than that. I just remember playing Heat of the Soul a lot, and I played it on my PSP, but Bleach as a fighting game, we haven't really had a big release. And when I saw Rebirth of Souls initially, I was very open with everybody at the time, and I said, I don't really like what I'm seeing here. This looks a little bit lame, if I'm being completely honest. Another arena fighter. Been keeping up to date with it because it's Bleach, and I'm interested because I watched the anime. Also, shouts to the anime, that last episode of Bleach, the most recent arc. Cinema. As time has gone on and they've shown us more and more gameplay, the game has looked more and more interesting, to the point that I would say this is probably the most interesting arena fire that I've seen in a very long time. Now, I know what you're saying, Mike. You said this was Sparking Zero. That is true, and even though Sparking Zero is in a very good place right now, this game to me looks like more of, I don't want to say a traditional fight, but it doesn't look like an arena fire all the way. And even when I spoke to some people who have played it, some of them were saying, yeah, this doesn't feel like your normal arena fire. Now, because I don't know the ins and outs of it, I just know that what I'm looking at looks really good now that we've seen full gameplay. I wanted to get to understand it a little bit more, so I scoured the internet looking for the best person that I could find to talk to you guys about what's going on in the game, very briefly, not to overwhelm anyone, because I know we play a lot of traditional fighting games over here, so not to make the video overwhelming, because the game seems to have loads of systems. So I scoured the internet, I found an individual called The Real Quinn Jr. doing a lot of good stuff over on his channel, so make sure you guys go and show him some love over there. Subscribe, leave him some comments, leave him some likes. And I messaged him on Twitter, and he was very quick to respond, very quick turnaround time, didn't really ask any questions, he just helped me out with the video. So make sure you go and support his page. I really appreciate him doing this. So I'm going to play that video for you guys now. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, and let me know if you guys are interested in Rebirth of Souls, or if you're looking to buy it when it comes out in March. I've got a lot of people that want to like get into Bleach and learn it and everything, and everyone that I've spoken to have no idea what they're looking at. Like, everyone knows they like what they're looking at. I really like what I'm looking at, but I'm very confused. So I guess that I got a couple questions that I wanted to ask you around it. The first question that I wanted to ask you is that, like, have you played like many traditional fighters, and would you compare it to this game in any way?
So many traditional fighters, no. Like I've like had some experience like playing some things like Mortal Kombat and of course some things like that. But mainly recently been playing some of the arena fighters. But I don't think this game plays like some of the stuff that people know, like Storm and maybe like even like Demon Slayer, Tommy Chronicles, just because of you can see from some of the gameplay that the movement is a little bit different, where you're not able to like turn your back and like just run around and stuff like that. Like it kind of forces you to like fight your opponent. So I do think this one is going to be a little bit different, where you're always facing your opponent, and it's more so like I think this game promotes not running a little bit.
Okay, so it's not like Sparking Zero or Storm where you can turn around, run off, hide behind things. You got to sort of face your opponent head on.
Yeah, because it's more like, I feel like it's more step based. Like you're stepping back. Like it's not as much of big movements moving away where you can just fly around or something like that.
Okay, and so how long did you get to actually sit down and play it?
So the demo was 15 minutes. I don't know if y'all seen like the video of like the voice actor playing the tutorial. It was basically the exact same thing that he did. I got to play the tutorial, and then after that I got to play one match, and I did the demo twice, so I got roughly about 30 minutes of gameplay, not including like the tutorial.
Okay, cool. And would you say the game is quite smooth or clunky? Because I heard some criticisms in the beginning saying that it looked a bit clunky, but then some people I spoke to said it was quite smooth to play.
So for me, I felt like the inputs were like pretty smooth. I didn't feel like much delay or nothing like that. I felt like I was able to do all the things I wanted to do once I I started learning the controls. It felt smooth for me.
Okay. Now, I don't understand what I'm looking at here. Like, it looks cool, but I've never seen a HUD like this before. It kind of resembles Dissidia to me a little bit, but there's a lot going on. So starting with the health bars, where it's got the numbers and this like soul break thing, what is going on there, and how do you break somebody's soul down to get them to zero?
Okay, so there's lives, obviously, like the numbers up there, those are like the lives. You get 9 lives, and you can see under that, they call that the reishi bar in the game, but that's basically, your health bar. And you have different types of attacks. So you have like your light attacks, and you also have your heavy attacks. Your heavy attacks are going to be the ones that, allow you, they're slower and they take more time to like charge up, but these also allow you to deal more damage to the guard. Whereas your light attacks are going to deal less damage, but these are faster, and they also allow you to build up like your energy, your spiritual energy, which is going to allow you to use like, your special spiritual pressure moves and things like that. And then you
Okay.
also have a guard break button, which is going to allow you to break the guard. But this, like I said, is very similar to the heavy attack, where it takes a lot of time for this to actually charge up. And basically what you want to do is, using these moves along with, your special moves, you want to try to deplete the health bar until it gets to that. You should see like a second area where that line is right there. And you'll see
Yeah.
whenever their health bar gets red. Whenever their health bar gets red, you can use another move, which is they use it like the key cone move, or basically like it's like a blowback move, which allows you to knock the person back to set them up for their special move. But the thing with the key cone move is it's best to use it whenever they're in the red, but you can use that whenever throughout the match. It's just depending on whenever you use this move, the other player is going to have a certain amount of time to actually recover. Like you're seeing right now, if this video is playing, how Rukia just did that cinematic.
Yeah.
If you try to set up that cinematic too early before their health is actually in the red, they're going to be able to like recover faster. And that's where you see like some of those animations maybe you've seen of people like blocking the attacks. But the main thing is depleting the health bar until it gets to the red. Then you use the R2 to knock them back, hold the button, and then you set up the cinematic to delete the health bars. That's what the main gist of the game is.
Right, okay, that explains a lot, because when I was watching some of the gameplay, I was confused as to whether you could actually block these moves, because every time I saw people doing them, they would fly back and then like a super move
So
would start, and I was like, what is going on here? Are they unblockables?
no, so they're blockable, and the way that you could typically tell when they're doing like the moves to set up the cinematics, you'll see red right there. You saw that red on Ichigo's
Yeah.
sword. Every time you see that red pop up, because I said you can use this move whenever, they might recover faster. Anytime you typically see red on somebody's sword, on anybody's sword in the gameplay, that's typically them using the key cone move. That's why you see them getting blown back every time. But you can block that. It's blockable. But from what we've been seeing in the gameplay, if you deplete their health all the way where there's nothing left, it's
Mhm.
automatically going to put them into the blowback animation, and your cinematic should come automatically.
Right, okay. And forgive me if you've already explained this. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. When these numbers pop
Yes.
up and it says like 3 and 4 and that, are those numbers bound to specific moves, or do they change depending on how much life is lost? Because I was watching a fight with Ilkura, and sometimes he was doing them in like 4 stocks were coming off, sometimes 6 were coming off, and I was confused at how the game was working out.
So it depends on how much health and other things like that. Like Ichigo, I'll explain that last, because he had like a little bit of a special thing. But typically when you're looking up there, whatever is like blinking in orange, that's how much you can just take off in general. Like if even if you don't get their health all the way depleted, if you get them into the cinematic of doing like, the key cone move, then you're going to take off that orange. The yellow comes from if you're able to completely deplete the health bar where it's empty. And sometimes it's more depending on the situation of the match. As you can see right now, like Rukia, she has something underneath her that says Spirit Drive. We still don't know what that necessarily means, but on Ichigo's side, we can see sublimation. And what we basically think these are basically comeback mechanics to allow you, to come back into the fight. As we can see, like, Rukia is losing, so now you can see that there's like, I think 4 lives blinking for Ichigo, and then there's like 1 yellow one. This is basically just going to allow her, if she depletes all the health, to kill more lives to be able to come back into the match. So that's why sometimes it increases, because if you're losing a lot, if you're very much behind in the match, once you get into that sublimation mode, they'll make it where you can delete more of the health bars to try to bring yourself back into the match if you can, deplete all the health.
Right, okay. So moving on to the combo system. Obviously, I know a lot of arena fighters get a bad rep for just being one button mashers and not having a lot of combo variety. How does Rebirth of Souls differ itself from Storm or Sparking Zero in terms of freedom in the combo system?
Well, really also because you're going to have to switch it up, because they say it like in the tutorial that it's like a rock, paper, scissors type of gameplay. Basically, you have your guard, and you also have your guard break that's going to be able to counter the guard. and then you also have your light and your quick attacks. But I mean your light and your heavy attacks, but your heavy attacks are slower, which are going to allow your quick attacks to counter that. So it's kind of a sense like if you're just button mashing, you're probably going to get caught off guard and you're actually going to get beat doing that. But it also, the game gives you a lot of freedom to mix these things up. You don't have to just spam light attacks. You can also like go with your light attack into your heavy and extend things. And also you're going to have to switch it up and not button mash because certain characters are faster than other ones. So, you're going to have to adapt and change your play style depending on who you're playing against.
Okay, so that kind of segues into my next question. A lot of people that I've spoken to that have been like dissatisfied with Storm or Demon Slayer or Sparking Zero said that characters sort of feel the same. Everyone feels like if you like learn Goku, then you kind of know everyone else, and there's slight variations here and there. When I'm watching Rebirth of Souls, and I was watching Byakuya in particular because he's the character I want to pick up, he looked like he's like sort of space control, zoning, keeping you out sort of thing. Does this game allow players or allow characters to sort of have their own play styles, or is it a situation where once you know one character, you know the entire roster?
Oh, so now there's definitely going to be different play styles. Now, of course, like, with some of like the basic light and heavy attacks, for the most part, yeah, we do know a lot of them are, going to be your basic combos, to build meter and stuff like that. But whenever it comes to like the special moves, even during my time in the demo, depending on what character you have, you're going to have to combo these special moves at different times because there's different ranges and things like that. So you're definitely going to have to lab some of these characters because I know when I was playing Ichigo and I was trying to like combo things with his spiritual pressure moves and the range wasn't that far. And this game does, knock you back a little bit. You can see like some of the blowback animations. So sometimes you'll miss your combo if your range isn't that far. So it's definitely something you're going to have to learn the moves. And different people have like, different long startups, and some of them are only buffs and they don't deal damage. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some learning that you got to do.
Okay. So on the general aesthetic of the game, I've heard people saying that, I don't know this for certain yet because I've only seen a few matches, that there's a lot of like music changes in the matches, and when people go into different modes, the music will change. And is that true? Is it specific to each character, or is it like when you go into Bankai, it's changing for everyone?
So it does change. I didn't actually see for every single character, but I know for sure that the music does change for like, I know like the recent trailer we got for Shinji, I'm pretty sure the music changed. And another one that a lot of people recognize was with Yoriichi. The music does change for her. So there are certain characters that do get the music change. I don't think it's every single one, but we know for sure it's Shinji, and we also know that we get it with Yoriichi. So they do have that implemented in there.
How good do you think the game is in terms of recreating the battles that we see in the anime? Do you feel like a Bleach fan playing this game will be satisfied with what they're getting, or do you feel like there's a disconnect?
I definitely feel like they're going to be satisfied as far as when it comes to the combat and stuff like that. I even said like in my gameplay that sometimes I was forgetting, even doing like the spiritual pressure moves because I was just having fun, like flash stepping, getting behind my opponent and just trying to do things like that. The only thing that I feel like might take away from some of the immersion for some people is the fact that there's not as much unique dialogue with some of the characters that you would think would have unique dialogue, but this is just from the demo, so they could add some things, but from what I saw, the intro is always the same, which might be a little bit of a downer for some people, not getting those unique interactions that you would expect to see between characters.
And when you were there and you got to play, did you hear any rumblings of how big the roster's going to be, or if there's like DLC planned for this game?
So they do have DLC. They do have DLC planned, and we've already seen that we're getting some costumes for like the arc that's going on now, the 1,000-Year Blood War, which makes me think that at least eliminates those characters that are getting the costumes. I don't know why they would like do costumes for 1,000-Year Blood War characters and then release the actual 1,000-Year Blood War version. But as far as the roster, right now I think we're around like 25 characters, and the game is supposed to release in March. So we have roughly about 10 weeks. So people are thinking the roster is probably going to be about maybe 30 to 35 characters. But with them doing some special trailers, maybe they could be slowing things down. So I'm predicting maybe around 30 characters probably.
Okay. And one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is something that like is I think important to me and my subscriber base, is that whenever I'm playing a fighting game, I'm always looking to see how high the ceiling is, because I usually play Tekken, and Tekken's
Mhm.
got a very high skill ceiling. So
Yes.
is this the kind of game where I'll pick it up and I'll continue to discover things and learn new ways to play it, or do you feel like after the first week or so, people might have caught on, the game's not really going to evolve past that?
I feel like just because the number of characters and how different they are, I think it's gonna be a little bit of time before people start getting bored with the play style. Because like I said, you can pick up different characters. Of course, there's gonna be some characters that are extremely like maybe stronger in this game, but I also think they do a good job of balancing them taking longer, to get that overpowered in a match. So I think it'll keep you interested for a good amount because you're going to have time to learn different characters, and there's 30 of them, and depending on how fast they actually release the DLC should keep people interested, especially with balance patches and stuff like that as well.
Was there anyone that you used during your time playing it that you thought really stood out to you? Was there anyone that you saw that you think might be a problem on day one that might like dominate the meta?
I know a lot of people are having some trouble with Geen because he has some good range, but also he's very fast. Me personally, I didn't see too much issues with like Geen. I feel like most of the characters like weren't too bad. Maybe like because you can use there's another mechanic where there's a signature move, which is basically just something specific to each character that they can do. But this doesn't have any type of meter. You can use it for free, so it could be spammed. And I do think Rukia is a character that has a lot of ranged abilities. I'm pretty sure every single one of her abilities have some type of range,
Hmm.
and I do think that she might be a little bit spammable. So depending on how things released in the beginning, yeah, Rukia might be a little bit of a problem with her spam ability.
Okay, and so with like normal arena fights, this arena fight looks a little bit more complex to me just based on what I'm looking at because of all the systems. Do you think somebody that plays Storm and like Sparking Zero like casually, do you think they'll be able to transition over to this without many problems?
I think depending on the character they pick, they might have a little bit more issues because some characters like have like a very like they even show it. There's different stars showing how difficult the character is to pick up. There are some easy characters, so yeah, if they definitely start with the easier characters to like learn the mechanics, then they should be able to transition over to some of the other ones. But if they try to pick up like one of the really difficult ones, yeah, they might have some trouble trying to transition over.
Okay, and I guess the last question I really have is, did you hear at all? I know you probably didn't, but do you know about if this game's gonna have crossplay or not?
From what it's looking like, I mean, don't know for sure, but I'm not thinking that they're gonna have crossplays. I feel like they would have maybe been announcing that or promoting that a little bit more, but I don't think I heard anything about that.
Right, okay, man. And I guess to close it off, is this a game that you're going to be playing on your channel quite a lot?
Definitely, I'll definitely be playing this on my channel a lot.
All right, cool, man. Do you wanna plug your channel before we close off the video?
Oh yeah, y'all. You can find me on Twitter and also on YouTube at the Real Quinn Jr. I cover all types of anime games, so if it's anime, I typically cover it. So if you want to see that, yeah, make sure to go check it out.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming by to like give us an explanation on this because everyone that I've spoken to has said it looks great, but we just don't know what we're looking at right now. So I
Yeah,
do
thank you for
appreciate that,
having
bro.
me.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, guys, well, that was the video. So maybe you have a little bit more of an understanding of Rebirth of Souls. I definitely understand things a lot more now. I know there's more to look into, and even the Real Quinn Jr. said that they're not entirely sure of all the systems in the game just yet, or the people they were playing with, but he seemed very high on the game. I'm very high on the game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm always optimistic when these games are coming out. We'll see what happens when it comes out, if it lives up to the hype. But as far as I can see, this is one of the best looking arena fighter games that I've ever seen in my life. I love the art direction. I love the way it's animated. The music sounds really good. The character select screen looks cool. And it looks like it's got a decent sized roster. About 30 characters is what we're hearing. So let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know what you think of Rebirth of Souls if you're going to be picking it up. And I'll catch you guys very soon. Take care and peace.